presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are San Diego.
There's a drive to deep left field for Matt Kemp. Another Cardinal home run. Another homer for Shem. That ball drilled to left field again. Another homer for Jerko. Unbelievable. It's been a three-game series featuring the home run and some fine pitching. Mike Leake and the Cardinals won Game 1, and then Jedd Gyorko took over yesterday in the day-night doubleheader. Gyorko with 3 home runs led the Cardinals to 2 more victories as St. Louis in the series has hit 8 home runs against Padre pitching. As Mark Grant, Dick Enberg, we're pleased that you joined us tonight. It just seems to get hotter and steamier here in this St. Louis sauna. But even though the Cardinals are out homering the Padres are going long ball as well.
There's one particular Friar in the lineup by the name of Ryan Schipp, who is a firecracker right now. 7 home runs since July 1st, and he is swinging a hot bat. Why? Well, his mechanics are right on. But let's take a look at the numbers first. 7 home runs since July 1st, tied for most in Major League Baseball, a .304 average in July, 6 home runs, 10 driven in the last 10 games. Why? Alan Zinter says he's getting a good position, the hands are back, and that little body, that little frame is generating tons of power, just like Jedd Gyorko.
Oh my goodness, they're just doing batting practice to Jedd Gyorko. He's now hit 6 home runs in the 6 games that these two teams have played.
Plain and simple. The Padres pitching staff needs to make an adjustment and stick to the scouting report and the plan. Down the middle, is it going to cut it for Jedd Gyorko? He likes the fastball. He doesn't like the breaking ball. And what happened the last at-bat? Gyorko against Kevin Quackenbush. He flipped up a curveball. It was a weak ground ball to the left side. Do not throw him a fastball for a strike. He will chase the breaking ball off the plate.
You saw those numbers, 619 with the 6 home runs against the Padres. He's hitting .215 against the rest of the major leagues with only 5 home runs. It'll be interesting to see how the Padres pitch him tonight.
They just need to stick to the scouting report and stay away from the fastball down the middle of the plate.
Well, it doesn't get any easier because the Cardinals are going to bring out their ace. A tough task tonight. Wainwright awaits. And Julie Alexander with that story when we come back.
Welcome back to St. Louis, everyone. Well, Adam Wainwright has certainly had a very successful start to the season with 9 wins in the first half. And I had a chance to catch up with some of the veteran players to find out what makes him so effective. Take a listen.
Throws his fastballs to both sides of the plate with command. He mixes his pitches well. He's got a sinker and a cutter, and he knows how to pitch. And
Matt was saying that you have to be so patient with him because he's going to give you one fastball. If you're not ready for it, that's all you're getting.
yeah, definitely. You can't miss a good pitch off of him. He's just too good. He's been around some good veteran guys, obviously with Chris Carpenter for a while, and he's definitely learned how to pitch over the years. So if he makes a mistake, you can't miss it.
The one common theme that the veteran guys told me was that he's a very smart pitcher, so that may be at the root of his success. Well, coming up, Padres and Cardinals. The goal, shut down former teammate Jerko. The guys in the studio will break it down coming up.
brought to you by Sony, the leader of 4K Ultra HD. By Petco, your complete pet store. And by Mercury Insurance. We're on a mission to save you money. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com today. The heat wave that's hit the Midwest continues, and they're predicting temperatures over 100 degrees on the weekend. It's currently 97 degrees. The forecast without rain at least through midnight tonight as we look down on Busch Stadium. Final game of this 4-game series before the Padres head to the nation's capital. 3 with Washington over the weekend, and then 3 up in Ontario against the Toronto Blue Jays. A very difficult test this road trip. They need a win to salvage the final game of this 4-game series, and you all know they've not done well in the finale of a series this year. They're 5-25. So Andrew Cashner will try to change that as the Padres' first 2 batters in the lineup getting ready for Adam Wainwright and the Cardinals, who have yet to take the field. Cardinals start tonight at 50-44. They're 7 games behind the Cubs in the National League Central, and led by Yadier Molina. Here they come as Cashner leaves the bullpen in left field. And let's check the San Diego lineup, brought to you by Toyota. Travis Jankowski will start things with Will Myers hitting second. Myers breaking out of his short slump with a couple of hits in game 2 last night. Then Matt Kemp, he's homered in the last 4 games, each of the last 4. Solarte in the cleanup spot, followed by Melvin Upton Jr. Then Ryan Schimpf. Schimpf with 7 home runs this month of July. Derek Norris bat 7th. Alexei Ramirez in the 8th slot, and Andrew Cashner will bat 9th. The Cardinal scouting report is brought to you by Scripps.
Well, the veteran right-hander Adam Wainwright, 3-time All-Star. He's pitched in a couple of World Series. Fastball, cutter, curveball mix. And if you're just joining us, Melvin Upton Jr. was saying he might give you 1 pitch in at bat. You got to crush the mistake. He is around the plate. He is a strike thrower. He's going to be tough to beat here at Busch 3.
And against the Padres, he's 6-3 with a 1.99 ERA. Defensively, for the men with the red hats, the Redbirds, in the outfield, Holiday, Grichuk, and Pham from left to right. On the infield, Jed Jerko, not only playing third but leading off tonight. They want to give him an extra at bat the way he's hitting. Then Diaz and Garcia, the double play combination. Big Matt Adams at first base, and the fan favorite here, Molina behind the plate for Adam Wainwright. Jankowski finds a little toe hold and about set to go. Jankowski and the doubleheader yesterday went 1 for 4. Chris Guccione calling the balls and strikes tonight with Marquez, crew chief Hanover, and Rackley on the bases. Guccione says play ball, and Wainwright is set to go. Big right-hander. First pitch is just outside. He started slowly, Wainwright, 0-3, but is 9 2/7. Recovering from the Achilles injury of a year ago on his left foot, the plant foot, and he thought that hadn't totally healed, and so he was favoring it on his delivery. Did some extra work, and pitching like the Adam Wainwright All-Star near Cy Young Award winner that we've known in the past. Trying to tickle 100 here in St. Louis.
You know, Dick, you make a good point, because the pitcher has to be 100%. If you got one little tiny ailment that has just thrown you off a little bit, it affects your whole game. So when you equal both Achilles, the right and the left, as far as the same strength, do some exercise to strengthen. Hey, the push-off foot just as important as the landing foot. And my goodness, ever since he's been at equal strength, the numbers have been phenomenal for Adam Wainwright.
Great competitor, a great leader in the clubhouse. And there's strike 3. He takes care of Jankowski. He's the number 2 strikeout pitcher in all of St. Louis Cardinal history, and he gets a quick one tonight. A look at the keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Oh, I went with the quad P's. Perpetuate Padre power, please. The home runs. I love the home runs. Padres are on a streak of consecutive games home runs, and cash in the cards for Andrew Cashner. Had a great outing last time. Hopefully he can transfer over that to this start here in St. Louis and beat the Cardinals in the final game of the series.
I like it, partner. An alliteration tonight.
Nice.
Myers hitting .281 at the start tonight. Singled his first 2 times up last night, and fine play made by Wong, the second baseman, to take another hit away from him. There's the off-speed breaking ball right in the middle of the plate. 0-2.
If he gets the feel for that curveball, watch out. Another thing I like, Dick, is that Wainwright works very quickly.
34 years of age now, from Brunswick, Georgia. Outside with that delivery.
Goes from the first base side of that pitcher's plate, a direct line to that outside corner to the right-handers, and he can run that fastball in on the hands.
Foul back. It may be a play. Molina tosses the mask and does have enough room right at the barrier. 2 away.
And one of those in-betweeners for Yadi Molina. I mean, this isn't one he can get back there and kind of camp. And then he's got to contend with that screen. He catches this ball kind of in an awkward way. And then does the tuna into that screen.
So 2 quick outs in the Padre first. Here's Matt Kemp. He's the 9th Padre in history to homer in 4 consecutive games. Part of that hitting streak, home run streak for the Padres. It's reached 18 consecutive games. The old record was 14, so they've blown right through that mark, and with the home runs on this road trip, 18 straight games with at least one. Kemp more than contributing now with 20 home runs to match Myers, and he loops one into right field for a base hit. Soft single to right, and the Padres have their first base runner.
Who doesn't like some soft serve on a hot night in St. Louis? You know, he hit his spot, Wainwright did, but Matt Kemp just gets extended. And he serves one out to right center field, and there goes the no-hitter.
Wouldn't you know it, right in the first inning.
Way to break it up, Matt Kemp.
Jan Solarte, the switch hitting third baseman, checks in with the Padres' best batting average at .288. He continues to hit the ball hard, not always getting the best results. He's hit in tough luck in this 3 games so far. There's that off-speed curveball.
Talked to Alan Zinter, the hitting coach for the Padres, just before the game, and he said he counted 5 balls last night where they squared up, but they were just right at Cardinals. And he understands, hey, that's baseball. It's part of the game. It works both ways. They just didn't happen to find holes last night in game 2.
What's interesting about the doubleheader yesterday, 4-2 and 3-2 wins for the Cardinals. All the runs, both sides, were on home runs. It's become home run or nothing for Andy Green and Mike Matheny in the other dugout.
And you know, if I was a bet man earlier in the season, somebody posed that question to me, I would say no, that's not going to be the case. But hey, the long ball's been a case, big story for both clubs.
Well, the Padres have the 18-game home run streak, and the Cardinals also are on a streak of 11 straight games. In fact, this home run happy St. Louis team, in contrast to the Cardinal team that won the NL Central last year, won 100 games and they hit only 137 home runs. They've hit 131 already here in July this season. Melvin Upton would be next. High, 2-2.
You know, I think of Yadier Molina. I mean, we know what he's done in his career, but it's got to be a nice day to catch when Adam Wainwright's on the hill. You talk about a guy who hits his spots, he knows the game plan. I'm not saying it's an easy day. I would have to say it's a comfortable day for the Cardinal catcher.
Another pop-up off first. Adams has room. And that's it for San Diego in the first inning. Jedd Gyorko will be the leadoff hitter as the Cardinals come up for the first time. Come up, here is their lineup, brought to you by Hyundai. Jedd Gyorko to lead it off. He's batted throughout the order, not clean up yet, but certainly not first in the order as well. And how he is hitting. Diaz, the sensational rookie shortstop, second. Then Matt Holliday, the veteran. Matt Adams hits cleanup. Yadier Molina in the fifth spot. Randall Grichuk sixth. Then Tommy Pham, Greg Garcia, San Diego area product, and Adam Wainwright. And our Padres scouting report is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Well, Andrew Castor, he knows about the heat. He's thrown more of the four-seamer. It was clocked at 99 his last start. Hey, duplicate the last outing. He was outstanding. And locate the four-seamer for a few punchies along the way.
Against the Giants on Friday, a 4-1 win for the Padres. 6 innings, allowed only 1 run and 4 hits, and struck out a season high of 9. And here's Gyorko, and he comes out swinging and pops it up high over the screen back at home plate. So in the series, 7 for 10, 4 home runs. He had 2 home runs in 2 starts in San Diego earlier. So 13 for 21, a .619 average, 6 home runs, and 12 runs batted in for the former Padre, who takes one on the outside corner. 0-2.
Breaking balls. First 2 pitches. First one was up. He fouled back. Last pitch, a slider.
Yeah, how many times as a Padre did we see him chase that ball low and away? But he hasn't had to do that against the Padres so far this year. There it is, but he lays off. Against the Padres, Gyorko, 5 consecutive games he's homered. Chipper Jones and Barry Bonds, the only ones who have had the longer string of homers against San Diego pitching. Jammed him there. 1-2.
Now that was a fastball, and I've always contended, just because the guy crushes a fastball doesn't mean you can't throw him a fastball. I mean, that's been the old adage throughout Major League Baseball. It's the location. Look at this four-seamer. He's burying it inside. He doesn't like that. Now does he have him set up for a fastball down and away? Does he throw the slider again? He's in the driver's seat at 1-2. Slider.
Well, Gyorko writing some Major League history with his tearing apart the Padre pitching. The only other major leaguer in history to hit 5 consecutive games against his old team is Andres Galarraga, who hit 5 against the Cardinals back in '96. But he's been a more patient hitter. He's not chasing that ball low and away. 2-2.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I will say that because there's been some breaking balls down and away that he has just spit on.
Really fattening his numbers. And not tonight, at least the first time around, as he chases a fastball. And Cashner has a strikeout of his first opponent.
Well, even though he missed with that location, he wanted a fastball down and away. That's what Norris signaled. But it's up around the eyes and very inviting pitch for any hitter. If that pitch is on the plane of your eyesight, it's coming in straight. It looks out of the hand like it's a big old fatty. And you know hitters, they like the big old fatties, but creeps up on you and it's the point of no return. Tough to get on top of it.
Aledmys Diaz, 25-year-old Cuban infielder, hitting .317. All-star. He replaced teammate Matt Carpenter, National League side. And strike 1 at 94. 23 consecutive games this young shortstop has reached safely. That's the longest run by any Major League rookie this year. Ball in the strike. He's 1 hit away from the 100 mark on the year. Nice numbers. And with Johnny Peralta, the veteran shortstop, on the DL, he's filled in rather nicely. Thank you. At 93, 1-2. Peralta sidelined with injury. He's been off and on the roster all season long. Swing and a miss, and 2 for 2 is Cashner on strikeouts.
Jerko on the high fastball, Diaz on the slider down and away. That was a great sequence right there by Andrew. After dotting the outside corner there, right there with the two-seamer. And then he finishes them all with the slider. Look at that swing. Not a good hack. Seen better swings on the playground.
First time that Diaz has looked uncomfortable in all the games against the Padres this year. Here's Matt Holliday. He had a home run in the series earlier. And he hits that high in the air. Right field into the sunlight of right field, and Kemp there with the glasses on takes care of business, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Andrew Cashner.
Kind of bittersweet, you know. It's like I want to be with the guys. It's really hard to, you know, be away watching them play and stuff. And you know, we watch the games and stuff because these are my brothers, it's my family, you know. And so being away is really hard. But then also leaving my, you know, our little baby that's, you know, 2-3 days old, and saying bye to him for the first time. That's really hard. So it's bittersweet. You really want to be both places.
Oh, big congratulations to Brett Wallace on the birth of his first son. He was reinstated today, back off of taking 3 days of paternity leave. And he says he chose the name, he and his wife Taylor chose the name Beckett Alexander Wallace so that they would have the same initials. They liked Beckett because it was a little different, and Alexander, he shares that same name now with his dad. They both have the same middle name, and of course, obviously the same last name, but he liked that they would have that connection of having the B, the A, and the W. Congrats.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Julie. And apparently he looks like he's going to be a long ball hitter. The Padres got the contract ready.
Well, congratulations to Brett and his bride and new baby. Your life just became a lot better, Mr. Wallace.
And is it ever going to change?
Mm-hmm.
Melvin Upton leading off the second for the Padres. And on 3 pitches, he takes the long walk. Second strikeout for Wainwright. Ryan Schiff, how about this young LSU Tiger? Hits 15 home runs at El Paso, earns the trip to the big leagues with the entry to Corey Spangenberg, and he's showing amazing power. Home runs in both ends of the doubleheader last night. That hasn't happened by a Padre in 16 years. Of course, there aren't a lot of doubleheaders anymore, but nevertheless.
And it's not just the pull side, Dick. It's to all fields, huh?
That's a powerful stroke there, straightaway center, and then this one just enough in the nightcap.
You know, the analogy I always try to use is a guy who's a golfer and really doesn't have a big stature. Like Davis Love III, right? Not really a big guy. He's probably on the smaller side.
Yeah, at least average, yeah.
Yeah, but he can hit 3+, right? 300+. So my point is, mechanics are a big key. You get that body in motion, you get mechanics going. Yeah, you don't have to have the huge stature to hit a golf ball 300 yards plus. You don't have to have the big stature to hit a baseball 400 feet.
Couple of off speeds, and it's 2-2. So there's Wainwright, the veteran pitcher, falls behind 2-0 and spins up a couple of slow curveballs, and the count now levels at 2-2.
A lot of pitches this at bat have been up,
and he gets Schimpf swinging. That's 3 strikeouts. First 5 outs recorded against Wainwright. Derek Norris, the batter.
Slider down and in. Curveball early, slider to put him away.
Well, that's a late breaking, nasty slider. He loves to pitch here at Busch Stadium. Give you evidence of that in a moment. In his last 4 starts here at Busch Stadium, he's 3-0. 30 innings pitched, and get this, 1 earned run. And also number 2 all-time to Bullet Bob Gibson in strikeouts, adding 3 more quickly tonight. And he certainly qualifies in every way as the rotation ace. Strike 2. 1-2. 209 average to start tonight with a dozen home runs for the Padre catcher. Strikes out the side. 4 strikeouts in 2 innings for Adam Wainwright, handcuffing the Padres early. No score at Busch Stadium, St. Louis. Bottom of the 2nd, middle 3 of the order for St. Louis. Matt Adams, Yadier Molina, and Randall Grichuk against Andrew Keshner. Power hitting first baseman has 10 home runs. Well, along with the scoreboard and the updates back in the studio, News in Washington tonight as the Dodgers won 6-3 and handed Steven Strasburg his first loss of the year. He was 13-0. One and one. Cashner in 3 starts against these Cardinals has fared rather well. 2-0, an ERA of 1, allowing just 4 runs and 2 runs in 18 innings. So Padres hoping he can maintain that kind of dominance and pick off a win here tonight. Two and two.
Well, one thing early I noticed about Andrew is that the slider, he's incorporating that early and being aggressive with the 4-seam fastball. Doing a fine job going to 1-2-3 inning in that first.
Line foul the other way.
Yeah, I got my golfers mixed up last half inning.
Yeah, when you asked me about Davis Love,
he's 6'3".
Yeah, he's tall.
Ian Woosnam was the guy.
Oh, he's short.
5'4", but can hit it a long way.
Oh,
so it's mechanics, right?
Yeah.
You get that club, the body, the legs going.
Yeah, and going back to yesteryear, Bantam Ben Hogan.
Yeah.
And if you have your mechanics going properly, you can hit it as far as those big husky guys.
And Ryan Schimpf has done just that.
Remains 2-2, and this is the kind of night where you don't like to see hitters foul off pitches. Put it in play or swing and miss, and let's get on to the next man.
See what he goes right here. Challenge with a fastball away.
Just wide. So the 8th pitch of this at bat coming up. Swing and a miss, and the 3rd strikeout for Cashner. Both pitchers punching out the opponents. Here's the Padre defense, brought to you by your San Diego County Ford dealers. Melvin Upton in left field tonight with Jankowski in center. Matt Kemp over in right. On the infield, left side, Solarte and Ramirez. There's Myers at first with Schimpf at second base. And Norris behind the plate. Still some splashes of low light coming in through the bleacher section, so Myers wearing the sunglasses at first base. Molina, 262 hitter. Hit his 3rd home run of the season in the day game yesterday.
Boy, Andrew upset with himself on that last pitch. Now going 2-0 to Molina. Take a look at his numbers.
When he gets a 2-0 pitch, he'll go for the long ball. But a very patient hitter otherwise. Gets down 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. He just tries to put it in play. Green light, 3-0, never know. Taken. 96.
Yeah, that's easy 96, isn't it? That's a good sign.
Couple of big right-handers. Cashner is 6'6" and Wainwright 6'7" going at it tonight.
That's the kind of hack you like to see, 3-1. But as Dick mentioned, you know, he'll just flare something the opposite way now that there's 2 strikes on him. He tried to turn on that 2-seam fastball. That's a tough pitch to keep fair.
Up the middle, ranging as Ramirez. Nice grab, throw in time for the out. The veteran Ramirez reaching as far as those long arms would take him and able to snare that ball out of shallow center field and throw out Molina.
Well, the luxury that Alexei has, only getting to that ball, plenty of time to spin and make a good throw. against Yadier Molina, who does not have any type of speed down that first base line. That's a good play for Alexei to get to that.
Center fielder Randall Grichuk. Now his reputation, he likes to swing at the first pitch. And he's 21 for 49 and 5 homers, hitting .429 going after the first delivery. And he swings right on cue.
And what does Andrew Cashner do? He counters with a breaking ball, a slider, down and away, perfectly placed.
Part of the scouting report that Cashner and Derek Norris take to the game.
Future big leaguer right there.
0-2. And a breaking ball, strike 3. Quick work. Cashner strikes out 4, matching the 4 punch outs of Wainwright through 2 innings, all pitching, all Ks. .34-year-old Adam Wainwright's got all of his repertoire working early tonight.
This guy can dissect the strike zone with the best of them with the fastball, and then he gets ahead, and then he drops that slider to left. He's down and in. Look at the curveball there. So the slider and the curveball, and usually a pitcher has a good slider, an okay curveball, or vice versa. This kid's got both working, and you can see it's been working the last 3 starts for the right-hander.
There's the evidence that he just has been very stingy, especially at home. And faces Alexei Ramirez, then Cashner and Jankowski in the Padre third. Padres have the only hit, a bloop single by Matt Kemp. Both Wainwright and Cashner, 4 strikeouts through 2 innings. Pointed foul. Well, both pitchers were #1 draft picks, but then traded away. Atlanta picked Wainwright in the first round and then traded him here to St. Louis in a deal that also brought Jason Marquis, former Padre, here to the Cardinals for J.D. Drew and an outfielder. And of course Cashner from the Cubs, the #1 draft pick of Chicago, 19th overall, and to San Diego for Anthony Rizzo. Able to lay off. And slow curveball so tempting, and Ramirez just did hold those wrists from breaking. Line drive, base hit. Ramirez sends a sharp single to center, leading off the third. Second Padre hit.
Follow Padres Baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet.
So Cashner strides to the plate. He checked Glenn Hoffman and his signs down at third to see if he's bunting. It appears to be the play, and that's how the defense aligns. Gives himself up early.
First base side. Yeah, he had the right idea.
We've seen Cashner bunt for base hits. Drag it toward the third. Sometimes it's tougher to give yourself up and just try to place it for the sacrifice. There isn't a lot of room. I mean, you don't want to bunt it to Jerko. He's charging hard from third. You've got the foul line at first to the pitcher's mound. You're trying to place it as close to that first base foul line as you can.
I wouldn't mind pulling back and kind of swinging maybe. We've seen that before many times as well.
Yeah, he works on that Butcher boy. Cashner not quite sure what that signal was from Hoffman.
You know, sometimes a pitcher will throw over to first base with the intention of seeing what the hitter does. You know, that one little quick movement, a pitcher will, if he's in fact going to do the Butcher boy, move that hand down and get into the hitting position. It looked like Andrew stayed put.
No one out here in the top of the third. No score. Ramirez with the leadoff base hit. And 1-1 the count to Cashner. Beautiful. Perfectly placed. And Cashner tagged by Adams. And he does his job. Moves Ramirez into scoring position to give Jankowski and Myers the opportunity to put the Padres on the board.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and description of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
So when it's this hot, do you perspire in your mouth too? I mean,
you know what? I have to. I can't tell a lie. Max Michalak, our producer. You know, usually the disclaimer.
You mean the George Washington of TV producers?
Absolutely. The disclaimer usually comes later in the game.
Yeah.
He just threw me a hook 3-2 with the bases loaded, and I kind of jelly-legged it a little bit. He said on my ear, disclaimer. And we're only in the third inning.
Yeah.
Max, chalk one up to you. You got to be ready at all times.
Yeah, you do with this crew.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll tell you what, they're here early. My goodness, the hours they keep. And there's Jankowski. Hits it well to right field, but right at Pham. And holding at second is Ramirez. Didn't quite get it all, Jankowski.
You know, Dick, you're absolutely right. I couldn't do it. Our director, Michael Odino, Max Michalak, Jason Lewis, Stephen Rose, Bob Wersdorfer, they're here, what, 6-7 hours before game time?
They come out at noon, and we come here at 3 for a 7 o'clock game. And then we can hustle out of here and send it back to Mike and Mark in the studio so we can get back to the hotel. And they have to, you know, break down, send video, get the interviews with Julie, send that back to the studio. No, it never ends. And it was, you know, for us, it was a 13-hour day yesterday with the day night. For them, it was 16 hours. So if they're, you know, a little off target on when to give the disclaimer, you know, like to throw you off there, and you can understand that.
And we don't want it to go unnoticed because we really appreciate all the hard work that they do, and that they need and deserve that recognition.
So 2 outs to Myers, plus the fact they're laboring in that air-conditioned truck. You know, it's down to like 70 degrees.
They're wearing parkas.
Yeah, 70 degrees there. I mean, it's not easy, man. Yeah. Yeah, Max from Michigan, he likes to, you know, he wears the earmuffs.
Right.
And he's got the big stole and the fur coat.
Stole.
It's a look, you know. It's a producers wear that a look, you know. A cigarette holder, even if you don't have a cigarette in there.
Well, the day he walks into the truck wearing a cape, all bets are off.
Yeah. Well, he thinks he's Superman. Myers fouled out to the catcher his first time. break the scoreless tie here in the third. 2-1.
There's that little slider. And once again, you know, when you look at the Fox tracks, when Adam Wainwright is out there, Andrew Cashner is doing the same thing up to this point. Look at, he is not putting that ball towards the heart of the plate. Everything's on the corners. Down, away. And I reiterate, Andrew Cashner doing the same thing tonight. You see the Fox tracks there. Everything's down or away, just off the corner. And look at that pitch there.
Off the plate, but he gets the strike call. 2-2.
Yeah, he's good enough to where he doesn't need that call. I mean, when he starts getting help like that, it's going to be a tough night at the dish.
Just got a piece of it. He stays alive, and that fits well out of the strike zone. But it's so much action on that breaking ball that you've got to commit yourself to a swing.
And here's what he's doing. See the strike zone? He's pitching to the L right there. Everything's out of the heart of the plate. And when you want to miss down, yeah, look, 2 strikes, you want to have him fish for something down and off the plate.
Breaking ball away, and Myers wouldn't bite. Full count. Matt Kemp, base hit his first at bat, on deck. But again, it was on the outside corner, not in the heart of the plate.
Right. You know, I thought Julie had a great report in our pregame talking to Melvin Upton Jr. And Melvin was quoted as saying you might get one pitch in at bat that you have a chance to take a hack at and do some damage. One mistake. That's one of the things that Alan Zinter said before the game. And to what you said, Dick, that last pitch was up, but it wasn't in the heart of the plate. It was on the corner. So it doesn't seem he has thrown him a mistake as of yet this at bat.
And then he buries the fastball. Strike 3. The 5th strikeout for Adam Wainwright. Padres leave a man in scoring position. The Cardinals come up bottom third of the order in the last of the third. Great moments in Padre and baseball history, brought to you by Geico. September 27th, 1998, Mark McGwire hit not one but a pair of home runs to reach 70, powering the St. Louis Cardinals to a 6-3 win over the Montreal Expos. There's the home run celebration with the little short right hand of the ribs. And the return counter punch. And that is being taught now to the Padres through Mark McGwire. We'll give you that in a moment as Cashner delivers his first pitch to Tommy Pham. Strikeout. Here's Schimpf after his home run last night. There it is, right hand of the ribs. And so they had to practice on that today.
So 2 fists up, right, Dick, and then they're right to the belly.
Yeah, Ryan Schimpf is only what, about 690 home runs behind him. Boy, overpowered Pham. Pham didn't have a chance. 5 strikeouts. Andrew Cashner.
Well, you know, we talk about Adam Wainwright, but credit Andrew Cashner also for hitting his spots tonight. Not one pitch during that sequence over the heart of the plate, hitting his spots nicely and making short work of Tommy Pham going up the ladder with the 4-seamer.
Pham swinging at a whisper. 7 outs, 5 by strikeout. Greg Garcia. Ball 1. Guy from El Cajon, Valhalla High School. Called up with the injury to Matt Carpenter. And there's a sharp shot at Schimpf. Handles it easily. That's the first hard hit ball tonight by the Cardinals. 8 in a row retired by Cashner. And here's the Arco top tier player profile. Against the Cardinals, 3 starts, 2-0. Just 2 runs allowed in 18 innings and striking out 15.
I would say that's domination.
And he's off to a great start tonight.
Yeah.
Now Adam Wainwright is part of this pitching core for the Cardinals. We talked about it in all 3 games previously. They all can hit. Probably the best starting rotation to hit the ball in major leagues. Wainwright at 196 career average, and he goes hacking. Another hopper out to Schimpf, and that's a quick 1-2-3 frame for Andrew Cashner on a hot humid night. He'll take all of those the Cardinals will provide.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, I was talking to Matt Kemp before the game, and before this game, he was batting .115 against Wainwright, 3 for 26, and he said he's one of the best pitchers he's ever seen in the game. He has this knack for keeping people off balance. He throws balls that look like strikes. He said he'll give you stuff to hit, you just can't miss it. He said that fastball up in the zone has such great movement on it. It's tough, and guys foul it off. He said his curveball, one of his best pitches, and he throws it when he needs it. Kemp recalls facing him one time. He said he didn't even go to his curveball till the 7th inning because he was just rolling with the sinker and the cutter. He says he is one of the best pitchers he has ever faced, and every at-bat he describes as a battle. He said you just got to wait him out, and when he gives you something to hit, you can't miss it. You just got to capitalize on any mistakes given.
All right, thanks, Julia. And this is the kind of game, the way these pitchers have started. One run's going to play very big. Padres had a chance, had a man in scoring position with 1 out in the 3rd. Couldn't bring him in. And here's Kemp, Solarte, and then Upton in the top of the 4th. Talked about pitching from the edge of the rubber, first base or third base side, and Wainwright favors that first base side. 1-1.
Gets that direct angle to that outside part of the plate against the right-handed hitter and into the lefty. He varies his delivery too. You see that? He went over his head that time. Sometimes he keeps his glove in hand in the glove and stays at the belt. 72% on the fastball, and the curveball is playing very nicely as well. He's flipped some sliders as well, and coming in at show is the changeup at 2%.
A 2-1 pitch. Nub to first, and with the shift on, Adams able to get over there. Ball not hit hard, and 1 away. Now, Chris Guccione, the plate umpire, the trainers came out, gave him some liquids, and there's an ice pack. A couple of them that he's going to slip in under his chest protector. I bet that really feels good.
Oh yeah.
And then the towel is ice cold and has some cooling effects as well.
I don't see why he just doesn't keep that towel around his neck. Why not? I've got no problem with it.
See the perspiration on that right side wherever the chest protector does not cover his body, and that's the human body's way of cooling.
It's the air conditioning system, right?
Perspiration and hopefully enough wind that'll help evaporation. Jan Solarte fouled out his first time.
Matt Kemp's a big fan of that fan.
1-1.
He actually attached his gloves so that
dries out the glove, batting gloves. Huh?
That's pretty funny. Now, if I said that, if I was down in that dugout right now, I would look at the fan and say, hey, which way to the clubhouse? Well, the gloves are pointing that way. Go that way to the end of the dugout.
2-1. Off the shins of Wainwright, picked up by the second baseman, but even Solarte, not the fastest of runners, able to leg it out for an infield hit. Should have been fielded by Wainwright. He's an excellent defensive pitcher as well, but that one I think didn't come back as hard as he thought it was. He reacts too quickly.
Yeah, the big swing, and he got jammed on that pitch. So it's all actually a changeup off the bat of Solarte. We hear changeups out of the hand of pitchers. Well, there are also changeups off the bat of a hitter.
Third Padre single, 2 of them scratch hits, and then the line single by Ramirez in the last inning. And here's Upton. He struck out, looked at strike 3 his first time. Didn't get the call from Guccione. Wainwright. Melvin, of course, missing the San Francisco Giants series, the sweep on the weekend back at Petco on the bereavement list. And it's a strike. 1-1. Painting the corners at the knees. There's another product of Tommy John surgery, missed all of 2011, comes back and as talented and as effective as ever. Outside 2-1. Fifth year for Mike Matheny. 4 straight into the playoffs. Hard to do for a young manager, but accomplishing that rare feat.
Yeah, he was inherited a pretty good team.
Line drive, one hop to Jerko. He picks it and turns it into a double play. Boy, Jerko just doing everything right in this series with the bat and the glove. 5-4-3 double play. A ceremony.
Our 2015 World Championship jersey.
Ned Yost presenting the jersey to President number 44, Barack Obama. And the entire Royals team, it appeared, there for the ceremony. That's got to be a big thrill for the world champs.
Absolutely. Very cool. Hey, just down Interstate 40, right? I-40 to the west?
Far west at the western corner of the state. We're in the eastern. Jed Jerko takes a strike. He struck out swinging the first time. Padres having a great difficulty keeping him off base and keeping him from rounding the bases. Fouls that one away.
Right in the ice pack.
Tools of the trade brought to you by Rams Trucks.
Well, mistakes. We've been talking about them all along. Two-seam fastball down the middle in. He turns on it. Okay, two-seamer down and away. Watch the green. That's where he wants it, and it leaks middle in again. Okay, the two-seamer away. Green is good. Red, Yeah,
he really got some fat pitches right up into his power zone. And took full advantage. 3 home runs yesterday. He's homered in 5 straight games against his former teammates. And even when he's made out at hard line drive outs. 1-2 the count.
So slider away, fastball in, slider away. This sequence of pitches to Jed Jerko. Andrew pitching very nicely early on tonight.
Back toward us.
That's coming in hot, yo.
Yeah, there are statistics for everything, including what a player does the first year after he's traded away against his former team. And for Jerko, He's hit 6 home runs, the most ever against the Padres for a player traded away the next year. Greg Vaughn, John Vanderwall, and Ryan Ludwig hit 3 the next year against San Diego. Gyorko has 6 already. Two and two the count. And that ball drilled to center field, but room for center fielder Jankowski to make the catch. That's what we're talking about. Even his outs are hit hard. Well, going back to the White House today, and part of the fun was President Obama acknowledging his press secretary, who was a big Kansas City Royal fan.
Look, we had a real fear that Josh would get in trouble by hijacking the president's jersey. So we made a special one for him.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Thank you, Ned. I really appreciate it.
Josh
asked
Ernest.
Josh to choose the best day of his life, I'm pretty sure he'd say his wedding day and the birth of his son. But this is close. This is really close.
Josh Ernest, the press secretary, getting a ribbing from the president. And obviously delighted to get that Kansas City Royals jersey.
It's a nice gesture on the Royals' part.
Aledmys Diaz struck out his first time. 6 games against the Padres, hitting .650 is all. And trying to figure a way to get him out, as well as Gyorko, who are stacked up 1-2 in the lineup tonight.
Andrew did a nice job his first at bat, striking him out along with Gyorko in that first.
Fly ball to center. Jankowski retreats, and on the track makes the catch for the second out. Well, Danny Martinez has been our statistician and support here in St. Louis, and there's none better as we travel around the major leagues and coming up with more and more information that, you know, Gyorko with 6 home runs against the team that traded him away the year before. The all-time record of a player hitting home runs against his former team the next year. The Bambino, Babe Ruth. Right there it is. He had 10 against the Red Sox, and when he joined the Yankees the next year.
There's Danny. Give him a wave, Danny.
No, forget about it. Too good looking. Sharply hit the third, almost handcuffed Solarte, and the inning's over. You got to do it. Hey, you had your moment. Got to go quickly. On we go. Hubba hubba.
history, from game-used bats dating back to Stan the Man all the way to as recently as 2014 with Yadier Molina's game-used bat. And you can also try on World Series championship rings from the 2006 World Series and the 2011 series. They give a whole new meaning to diamonds are a girl's best friend. These things sparkle. You can also check out game-used apparel and speak with managers from years past on videotape.
And we're back at Busch Stadium. And there's so much here to enjoy if you're a baseball fan. And thank you, Julie.
I'll tell you what, those rings are absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they did such a great job on those World Championship rings. My favorite is the last one that you saw on that clip, the one with the STL in rubies and then the surrounding diamonds. But man, very nice.
Those are all the World Series titles, 11 of them in their 125 seasons. Major League Baseball here along the Mississippi. We got a tight one going. No score into the 5th inning. Wainwright to face Ryan Schiff, then Norris and Ramirez. Off speed for a strike at 69. Padres with 3 hits, all singles against Wainwright. And Andrew Kastner has retired all 12 men that he has faced. That ball hit deep to right field. Racing back is Pham, and that ball bounces up against the boards. Schimpf on his way to second base, and he has a leadoff double. And Ryan Schimpf continues. He just ignores the single. I mean, just don't forget about singles. Schimpf, I mean, this is amazing. That's his 18th hit, and he has only 4 singles out of 18. He either double, triple, or home run.
In fact, he hates singles so much he does not have any in his wallet. They're all 5s, 10s, and 20s. $100 bills. He is just wearing pitching out.
Yeah, the meal money. Forget that,
wow.
that dollar, the $1.
Yeah.
So the Padres with a chance. A man at second, no one out here in the 5th inning. First extra base hit off Wainwright brings up Derek Norris. Struck out the first time. Try to get that runner over to third. Better yet, bring him in with a base hit. Outside, ball 1.
Got a game break coming up from the nation's capital. Dodgers, Nationals. Stay tuned for that one.
Giants are idle tonight. They've lost 5 in a row. Dodgers trying to eat up some ground in second place in the West. Dodgers will come here to St. Louis for the weekend. And the Padres trade places with them. They go into Washington for 3 starting tomorrow night. There's that slow, tantalizing curveball, and frozen was Norris, 1-2.
Well, if it's not the curveball, it's a slider, and vice versa. Not the slider, the curveball. And another tough count for Derek Norris. He's got to protect.
Schimpf at second, no one out. There's the slider outside.
Well, speaking of the Dodgers, you know, with Clayton Kershaw now, is he going to have surgery? Is he not going to have surgery? Did somebody speak too soon? Stay tuned to that one. But been seeing some reports that Chris Archer's name has been thrown around. So all the trades, it's going to be interesting once we approach the deadline.
That ball hit deep to left field, but it's hooking foul. He got plenty of it. Well, the Dodgers also losing the left-hander Ryu. He's back on the DL, and today they announced that Chris Hatcher's gone on the DL from the bullpen.
Hard-thrown right-hander, yeah, you bet.
And Alex Wood, he's still recovering from elbow surgery. They don't expect him back until maybe September. So they need some pitching. 2-2 to Norris. Strike 3 called.
Really?
He gets a call, does Wainwright. First out here in the 5th. His 6th strikeout.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Time now for the Fan Diego fans of the game. We have some folks rooting for San Diego here at Busch Stadium tonight. Group of 4 there. Find them easily in the sea of red. Ramirez singled sharply to center field his first time. Ground ball pulled foul. But with all the strikeouts, Wainwright has thrown a lot of pitches, already to 67. But he's a horse. He last time out had a complete game, 120 pitches. Nibbling again, doesn't get the call on that pitch. 1-1. Ground ball into left field for a base hit. Here's Schimpf around third. Hoffman waving him home. Here's Holliday's throw from left, not in time, and it overshoots the cutoff man, and into second goes Ramirez. He's safe. And the Padres take a 1-0 lead as Ramirez delivers. He's 2 for 2 tonight. 31st RBI of the year, and he saw that ball go over the third baseman's head, and he ran on to second on the throw.
The bottom of the lineup doing some damage, as Dick mentioned. Ramirez with 2 hits, this double, and off and running is Schimpf. He does not break stride. He gets the green light from Glenn Hoffman. Holliday doesn't have the best arm, way offline, and Alexei takes second base on the throw.
So Cashner up has a chance to help himself. He has 3 hits this year in 17 at bats. It's somewhat surprising to see if indeed that is a phone call to the bullpen. That no one up as yet out in that right field area. That might be a call to someone else. Ice bags. Or maybe even challenge that last call at second base. Cashner tried to bunt the first time and was successful in moving the runner up. He's swinging here and swings through that first delivery. Wainwright, as we mentioned, hasn't been giving up any runs. Only 1 run in the last 30 innings, and then 34 coming into this frame, the 5th. 1-1. So that makes news. Schimpf with a leadoff double, and Ramirez brings him in with a single. The win, it's just announced from the press box, or the run rather, is the first allowed by Wainwright in 18 and a third innings. Trying to get more. Ramirez in scoring position. 1-2 now to Cashner.
Boy, really shallow in center and right field for the Cardinals defense.
Tapped out in front of the plate, and Cashner, of course, is a good runner. Molina, though, pounces and throws him out. So 2 away. Brings up Jankowski, who will delay, get Cashner back into that dugout, sprinting up the line on this hot night.
Yeah, this is when you go to the pine tar a little for a little extra time. Maybe stop and tie your shoe, say hi to the umpire, give a tap to Molina on the shin guard and say, hey, boy, it's really hot here today, isn't it?
Cashner get himself back into that tunnel, maybe into the clubhouse, get some cool air. Grab some air. There he goes. And Jankowski might even take a pitch here. Struck out and lined to right, Jankowski tonight. Takes a pitch low, 2 outs. Ramirez with the RBI single, perched out at second base. Padres trying to add to the 1-0 lead. Bunted in the air. Long run for Molina. Can't get there. Yeah, that'll chew up some more time. As Jankowski now can walk back to the plate. And Molina as well.
Did you ever catch as a kid, or amateur ball?
Just in softball. I'd love catching.
It's unbelievable though. If you have to run with that gear on, it's not easy. I mean, obviously you get used to it, but it's not easy.
No, you're weighted down. Although with equipment now is much lighter.
Yeah.
The gear that he's wearing, the plastic, and helps out a bit. In the old days, a lot of that was just padding, like wearing something that your mother took off the bed in your kid's room, wrapped it up and hung it around your shoulders.
Yeah.
Man, those old shin guards. I mean, you could hear them from a mile away. Clink, 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 clink.
I remember my dad always telling me the clips go on the outside, right? So you don't run and you catch. See, there's a little edge there where they clip on. You don't clip them on the inside, on the outside. So if you're running, you don't fall flat on your face, lock up on you.
3-1 now to Jankowski. A good at bat for Travis. He's used up some time, and that helps Cashner. And of course, the big run on the board, even a bigger help. How red-faced he is. Line to left field. That's a base hit, and it's up the alley. Scoring Ramirez easily, and Jankowski with his speed turns at second. He's going to gamble on going to third. That may be a bad gamble, and he is out. Well, there's not any. The risk reward there with 2 outs is not a good one. You don't want to make the final out at third base, but on the bright side, Jankowski makes it a 2-0 game. Couple of doubles. The first double by Schimpf, the RBI single Ramirez, and now this double. And Jankowski runs into the out at third. It's 2-0 San Diego. All right, Mike and Mark. Padres now with a 2-0 lead as we move to the bottom of the 5th inning. Middle 3 of the order, Adams, Molina, and Grichuk for the Cardinals. Andrew Cashner has retired the first 12 men that he's faced. Falls behind Adams 2-0. Padres using the 2-base hit to score 2 in the top of the 5th. Doubles by Schimpf and Jankowski. Sandwiched around an RBI single by Alexei Ramirez. Shift on against Adams. There's a strike at 91.
Yeah, and if Andrew Cashner ever needed a quick inning, this would be the inning after the Padres scoring 2. He ran the bases, get right back in there and try to add on.
Right field. Kemp's got a play on it. And one away. Time now for In the Driver's Seat, brought to you by Kia. And Andrew Cashner so far definitely has got his mitts firmly around the wheel.
No question about it. He is in that fast lane and he is in cruise control. 4 1/3 frames. He's struck out 5 Cardinals. He has hit the corner, staying out of the heart of the plate.
13 straight retired by the Texas right-hander. Yadier Molina, good play made by Ramirez out behind second base to throw him out the first time up. Over but low. That's a strike at 94. It even sounded fast.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, that whole delivery, the mechanics, the arm slot, the ball out of the hand, the location, the pop of the mitt, as you mentioned, right on the outside corner at the knees.
Breaking ball misses low and away. That'll be out of play down the right field side. 2-2. Another good turnout here in St. Louis. They've been averaging around 40,000 in their midweek games. Last night's 41,012. Game 1 was also over 40,000. He reaches out and just drops a single into left field. There's the first hit of the game off Cashner, and that's what Molina does. Don't have to swing hard. He just lays the bat on the ball and just drops a little wedge shot single into left field.
And that's why it is so hard to master and author a no-hitter. A lot of things have to go your way. And a lot of lineups, they'll have that 1 or 2 guys that adjust the swing accordingly. As Dick mentioned, yeah, early in the count, he'll try to come out of his shoes. This is a slider down off the end of the bat. Just reaching for it, and a little soft serve in the shallow left field for the base knock.
One-handed swing for the first single for the Cardinals here in the 5th inning. Grichuk struck out his first time. Takes a fastball away.
Okay, now the first time out of the stretch for Andrew Cashner. Make a good quality pitch, get a grounder, and get out of this inning.
On the plus side for Cashner, not only retiring the side in order for the first 4 innings, he needed only 46 pitches coming into this inning. Nice to get a quick double play here and get him back in the dugout. Struck out Grichuk the first time. Padres leading 2-0 here in the home half of the 5th inning at Busch Stadium. Foul tip into the glove and out of the glove of Norris. So far, Cashner doing a good job staying out of the heart of the plate, working the corners. He and Wainwright are going to have to replace that pentagon after the game. They're just burning the edges.
He's been masterful.
Strike 3. A clean strike there. Froze Grichuk. He strikes out for the second time. Number 6 for Cashner.
Oh, the free fastball, the two-seamer coming back and getting you.
I know you've been waiting for this, so let's check it out.
All right.
The Cholula flamethrower.
And with Andrew Castner on the hill, oh, I can't wait for this one. 96, yo. Hey, that's hot sauce, Redbird fans. That's hot sauce. And there's more where that came from.
Hey, don't wake him up now. Don't wake him up. Tommy Pham, he struck out the first time. Breaking ball away, ball one.
That's a great sign, Dick, out of the stretch, right? That's a big at-bat against Grichuk with the strikeout. Everything's been from the windup. First time out of the stretch, nicely done.
1-1. Well, on to Washington, D.C. tonight and open the 3-game series tomorrow evening against the first place Nationals. 4 o'clock our TV time here on Fox Sports San Diego. Luis Perdomo will start the series. Runner goes, swing and a miss, and no play at second. So Molina, you don't figure him stealing. He had no lead at all, but Castner was ignoring him, and he just had a running start.
Timing is everything, you bet. Pick the right spot, right opportunity, the way the infielders were playing towards the hole a little bit on the left side, and a long run. Not even, and Derek, he lost the handle on the transfer.
Third steal of the season for Molina. He's had 2 in this series. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Pham. First runner at second tonight for St. Louis. Does so many things to help his team, Molina. Chop to third, foul.
Andrew's been doing a good job of getting that fastball into the righties. He did it just there. Pham trying to be quick, but that's a tough pitch to keep fair.
We mentioned Pham growing up in Las Vegas. Same high school there, Durango, as Ryan Ludwig. Played with both the Cardinals and the Padres. A swing and a miss, strike 3, and Castner strands Molina at second base, and we've completed 5 in St. Louis. Castner and the Padres leading the Cardinals 2-0. And welcome back to Busch Stadium. The totals after 5 innings of play. The Padres 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. The Cardinals no runs, 1 hit, no errors. And here's our Harris game summary. A pitching matchup of Adam Wainwright and Andrew Castner, and strikeouts galore. Wainwright has 6. Castner 7. 6 of his 7 swinging, and 4 of the 6 by Wainwright. Called third strikes.
Yeah, we got ourselves a good old-fashioned pitcher's duel here on the banks of the Mississippi.
And then Ramirez singles in the first run of the game after Shemp doubled in the 5th inning, and then a double from Jankowski makes it 2-0, and that's where we stand. Our Harrah's game summary: Jankowski tried to swim his way in for a triple, and perhaps unwisely tried by the center fielder as he makes the final out at 3rd. Aggressive is terrific, and Andy Green supports that, but sometimes you got to know when enough is enough. Here's the starters comparison with only 1 hit allowed by Cashner, 6 from Wainwright, as the Padres start in the 6th inning with Myers, Kemp, and Solarte to hit.
Well, Dick, you make a good point, because Travis Jankowski, he's going to score on a base hit anyway from second base.
And you've got your top hitter, Will Myers, coming to the plate.
Yeah, lesson learned. The R column, that's the most important thing, and the Padres lead 2-0.
Will has fouled out and struck out. Needless to say, that play did not go unnoticed from Andy Green, and there'll be some coaching up to do. You don't get on Jankowski right away, but you've got to go back and say, now why, ask him why, and then you say, well, here's why you shouldn't. Oh, it blows down Myers, overpowers him there. 7 strikeouts to match Cashner 7, and our game today and tonight presented in HD by Sony. Matt Kemp, a single and a ground out. Now for the Padres, they've been stuck on 2 the entire series. They lost 10-2, then yesterday 4-2, 3-2. Now they've got 2 on the right side, 2-0. But they may need more. And to this point, no home run tonight after 18 consecutive games. Hitting at least 1. Kemp has hit 1 on Sunday, on Monday, and 2 yesterday, 4 straight games. Oh, 0-2. Jan Solarte next. I don't know if we've captured the color and ceremony surrounding this game with the temperature so unbearably hot. The Cardinals decided to go with a Christmas theme. Swing and a miss as Kemp chases badly. 8 strikeouts now. They've had some of their mascots and cheerleaders adorned as if they were Santa's elves, and then they're playing Christmas music in between innings.
Spreading some Christmas cheer here in July in St. Louis.
Yeah. It's hardly a sleigh ride. Now 2 outs to Solarte. Fouled out and an infield hit back through the middle. Inside, not by much. So tomorrow night, Luis Perdomo against Tanner Roark, who's 9-5 for the Nationals, and then Edwin Jackson gets Scherzer on Saturday night. Off the hands foul. Friedrich will get the call on Sunday. Washington yet to announce their starter. And then on to Toronto. Passports in hand. Great city.
Oh, love it. The only matchup that has yet to play out.
Isn't that something?
Padres in Toronto to play the Jays after all these years.
Cashner figures to be the starter in one of those games in Toronto. Although rumors fly about a possible trade involving the right-hander. Inside with a slow curve, 3-1. Have you checked the temperatures in the nation's capital? Is it this
It's going to be,
heat?
yeah, it's going to be 98, 99.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Another foul and the count full. Oh, it can be steamy and hot in Washington even when it's not steamy and hot.
Yeah, exactly.
It just can be very uncomfortable there along the Chesapeake. It's all those political types, you know, they just, even when it's temperature is reasonable, they raise the temperature.
Well,
on
full
us.
of hot air, right?
Yeah, there you go.
It is very cool, though. I'm a big fan, and I love all the monuments and the.
Yeah, you feel important being there.
It's great, isn't it?
Absolutely. Greatest nation in the world, and just to be in its presence makes you feel proud. 3-2 again. Line drive, fair or foul, fair ball into the right field corner. Solarte on his way for 2. Padres double or nothing tonight. That's another 2-bagger. 2 outs, and Solarte positions himself for Melvin Upton to try to add to the 2-0 lead.
Well, there was a mistake by Wainwright, and we talked about it earlier. You might get one in at bat. Well, he hasn't made many tonight. Padres leading 2-0, trying to add on here with 2 outs. And let's take a look at this pitch. Thought it was a breaking ball down, but it's left up.
Well measured, just inside the right field line for another double. 2 for 3 for Solarte tonight. Melvin Upton hungry for a hit. He has struck out and banged into a double play. That was that hot shot to Jerko, who flashed his leather into the hole and able to pick it up and turn it into a 5-4-3 double play. 90 on the fastball. 93 pitches for Wainwright.
Yeah, we got a little beehive, a little ant farm working out in that Cardinal bullpen. We got some action.
Bends it outside. I mean, this weather is so torturous that you really can't expect either pitcher to go too deep into the game. We're into the top of the 6th for Wainwright. Low and away. He really takes a lot off his breaking pitches. I can't remember him being that slow on 75 down to 68 miles an hour in some of his breaking stuff. Two out. Solarte perched at second. Softly hit. It wasn't a sharp shot, and second baseman Garcia takes care of it, and the inning comes to an end. Solarte double. He's left at second. Padres lead it. presents Padres Baseball, brought to you by Sequan Casino. Sign up for the new Padres Club Card today. And by Mercury Insurance. We're on a mission to save you money. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com today. Andrew Cashner threw 5 innings, no walks, 7 strikeouts, 1 soft single, and that's been it for the Cardinals. He'll face Garcia, the pitcher spot, Wainwright, or a pinch hitter, then Jed Jerko here in the Cardinals' 6th inning. And we see a potential pinch hitter on deck, Jeremy Hazelbaker, just called up from their AAA team in Memphis. Garcia grounded to second his first time. Takes ball 1. The only Padre to strike out 9 or more and not walk a man in consecutive games. You have to go back to 1998. Kevin Brown, that talented right-hander. Well, Cashner struck out 9 and didn't walk anyone the last start against San Francisco, and he's got 7 strikeouts. No free passes here so far tonight. Hit well to right. Kemp on his horse. Going to have to play it off the wall or look at it go into the bullpen for a ground rule double. First extra base hit of the night for the Cardinals, their 2nd total hit.
And first mistake out of the hand of Andrew Cashner. You see this replay. This looks like a fastball. It looks like it was right down the middle. Hey, pitchers are going to miss. They're not going to be perfect every time out. Sometimes they swing through it. Sometimes they foul it back. 4-seamer right down the middle. Off the track and into the pen. Fifth double of the year for the Valhalla Norseman, Greg Garcia.
So Jeremy Hazelbaker will be the pinch hitter, and that means Wainwright's through for the night. 6 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts. Neither pitcher walking a man. And the Cardinals have their best chance to score with the leadoff double from Garcia. Hazelbaker comes out swinging and can't find that 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
Well, they got to Adam Wainwright, put up a 2 spot on him. Padre hitters did a nice job.
Couple of doubles. Schimpf and Jankowski around a single by Ramirez for the 2 in the 5th inning. Hazelbaker, one of those talented farmhands up and down in between the big club here in St. Louis and Memphis this year. He's had 128 at bats, hitting an even .250. Good dig by Norris. Top of the order, Jerko to follow. Jed 0 for 2 tonight, strikeout and a line out to center. .70 pitches now for Cashner. Left field, slicing away from Upton, and that's going to fall just into the first row. That little angled box area wasn't hit high enough for Upton to get all the way from left center to the ball.
Infielders getting dirty on a grounder, trying to prevent that run from scoring from second base with Greg Garcia.
Cashner trying to load up a pitch that'll get him strikeout number 8. Gets a call off the plate, but to the liking of Chris Guccione, that is the 8th strikeout.
Hey, good for Andrew Cashner getting a call there. That's a big thing hanging with him. More times than not, they don't get the call there. But he's been around the plate all night. It's a 4-seamer that's got a little bit of run away, and a nice job by Derek Norris in the webbing of the glove.
So 1 out to Jed Jerko, hitting in the leadoff spot tonight. Top of the strike zone. One of the writers covering, Mark, one of the writers covering the Cardinals for the Post-Dispatch, Benjamin Hochman, described Jerko's play against the Padres as rare and ridiculous. That's how good it's been. 1-1. Chopped in front of the play. That's a tough play. Cashner, the good athlete, fires to first in time for the out, and dangerously so, as that throw took Myers' hand right into the oncoming Jerko. Over to third, Garcia with 2 outs.
Andrew Cashner like a puma, like a cat. Look at him get to it. Bare hand. Crow hop.
So with 2 away, Aledmys Diaz has struck out and fly to center. And he, like Jerko, has just been almost impossible to keep off the bases in the 6 games played so far in this series. Now in the 7th, they have him 0 for 2. Try to keep Garcia there at third. Good looking young hitter from Cuba. Uses the entire field. Speaking of talented hitters from Cuba, Padres have news in that regard. 1-1. They've signed a highly rated Cuban player today, Jorge Ona. He's rated the number 8 international prospect by MajorLeagueBaseball.com. He's 19, an outfielder, $7 million worth. Line drive, base hit. There's Diaz, and that breaks the shutout bid. Scoring Garcia, it's 2-1. '50th RBI for the rookie.
Breaking ball catching too much of the plate and speeding up his bat. You see Derek Norris, he wanted it down and away. Just didn't get it out there enough.
So the Cardinals cut the Padre lead in half. Darren Balsley out to give Cashner a breather as Matt Holliday steps up. And here are some of the National League Rookie of the Year candidates. Corey Seager, certainly for the Dodgers, having a great first year, 301 average with 17 homers, 43 runs batted in. Diaz, his number is quite similar. You can add an RBI there. He now has 50. And Trevor Story, while his batting average under Seager and Diaz, but 23 home runs and 60 ribbies for him.
Yeah, that's a pretty good trifecta right there. I mean, hold all tickets, photo finish when it comes to voting on those 3 as Brad Hand starts to heat up.
And what's interesting about those 3, all infielders. Yep. Not an outfielder amongst the lot. Here's Holliday, 1-0. Matt is flied out and hit a smash at third baseman Solarte the last time. Not only all infielders, all shortstops.
That's right. Pretty good crop, huh, Professor?
You bet. And that's such a key position. Strike, 1-1. Nice thing about stocking up your farm system, and A.J. Preller, that's one of his philosophies with good playing shortstops, that if you get too many, you can always move them to center field, move them to another infield position. You get guys that can hit like those 3. That's oh my right there. 1-2 to Holliday. Run home here in the 6th inning. The leadoff double by Garcia and a 2-out RBI single Diaz.
Holliday going a little Disco Dan right there with the unbutton and no shirt underneath the jersey.
Back to Diaz, that base hit, it gives him 24 consecutive games he's reached safely. That's the longest run for any major league rookie. Disco Dan, huh?
I just never got that. The guy wearing a jersey with no undershirt. I just, oh, this. Heavenless. Yes. It's just.
What's your real feeling
you know,
about it?
it's kind of a gritty feeling. I mean, you got to wear like a dry fit underneath, so it's a smooth feel. Jersey on skin, ain't gonna happen.
2-2. Oh, where'd that get him? Right in the bridge of the nose, maybe. Oh no. Oh boy, nose or upper mouth. He's bleeding from the nose, and that ball taking off high and inside. Cashner halfway to home plate with concern. Doesn't want to come out. So you want to be a major league hitter and face a 95-mile-an-hour fastball right on the nose. Just fans give him a huge round of applause. Gets to first base, and wisely, Matheny's going to take him back in the clubhouse. Get some ice on that beak, and he'll be back in the lineup tomorrow night. And that's awful, but boy, it could have been so much worse. That'll bring up Matt Adams with runners at first and second. And we wonder how unnerved Cashner is, as you see Mike Leake, the pitcher, used as the pinch runner. Good job by Norris, the catcher, going out, spending some time with Cashner. Okay, now, yeah, there's no intent there. Too bad. But we got to go on and try to win a ball game here.
Sure.
So get your mind focused back on this hitter. And here comes Andy Green, and I think he's going to add to that conversation. You know, that's a wise move by the young manager. No, he's going to take the ball. Oh my gosh, that is surprising. So Cashner goes 5 2/3, had allowed only 1 hit, gives up a couple of hits and a run here in the 6th inning. But in this heat and humidity, time to go to the bullpen.
In the room, a game of ping pong.
A lot of other sports figures looked up to Tony and loved him, and one of them was Muhammad Ali.
If you could challenge any other all-star to something, what would it be and why?
Ping pong, and because I think I'm the best one in the room. A game of ping pong.
Maybe I'll challenge Will to home run derby.
I play video games with myself, and I pitch against the team that I'm facing. I put it on easy, so I do really well.
That was a sneak peek of this week's all-new Padres POV presented by Sycuan Casino. Tomorrow after Padres Live right here on Fox Sports San Diego.
All right, thanks, Mark. And here's some very interesting strategy, and that's what makes this National league game so interesting without the DH. Brad Hand comes in to pitch to the left-handed hitting cleanup hitter Matt Adams, and Mike Matheny counters with Stephen Piscotty. 2 on, 2 out, 2-1 Padres here in the bottom of the 6th inning as Cashner relieved by the lefty Brad Hand.
Well, I actually kind of like this move, and I'll tell you why. This inning, Andrew Cashner has thrown 2 mistakes. The whole mistakes of the whole game. The fastball to Garcia was right down the middle for a double. He hung a slider to Diaz. And you know what? I think he's kind of gassed, and I think he's been getting some pitches up. And, you know, a fresh hand into the ball game could, with 2 outs.
And Hand, Buchter, Maurer, that triumvirate has been terrific the last 16 games. 22 in the 3rd innings. They've allowed just 1 earned run. Cashner intently looking on. This is his game. 2-1 the score. And 2-0 the count to Piscotty. There's no easy out here in Piscotty. He's hitting .295, 13 homers. There you have it.
And sometimes it's MC, right? Manager's choice. They see something, they might have a hunch, feel like they want to make a change, and that was the decision, the final decision by manager Andy Green.
So Matt Adams out of the lineup, and of course Matt Holliday also out with a hit by pitch. 2-0. Challenged him 93. A lot of sink to that fastball. Piscotty has been their best with runners in scoring position all season long, especially with 2 outs. He's hitting .429. The action pitch, 2-1 with 2 men aboard. Ground ball to short. Ramirez will go the short way. Inning comes to an end. Hand gets the final out. We go to the 7th inning. The Padres still in front, 2-1.
Turns to gold where I step. Ain't nobody got swag like this. I am feeling good. I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling awesome. I'm feeling awesome tonight.
And back we are at Busch Stadium with a new pitcher for the Cardinals, Matt Bowman. We saw him in game 1 of the series. He pitched an inning and allowed a run. Gave up a double to Ramirez, and Ramirez came in on a ground out. Young looking right-hander with his 31st appearance. Hazel Baker stays in the game in left field for the injured Holliday, and Piscotty takes over at first base for Adams. Bowman will face Schimpf, Norris, and Ramirez for the Padres top of the 7th. San Diego in front, 2-1. And Schimpf continues to spark the offense as he has all of this month of July. here in July. 7 home runs. Double tonight. Scored the first run. Hits that one high in the air to left field, slicing toward the seats into the corner goes Hazelbaker and drops the ball. It is ruled a fair ball, and Schimpf coasts into second base with another double or an error. Hazelbaker may have taken his eye off it at the last minute as he approached the wall. And we'll see how they score it. They're going to call it an error on the new left fielder.
Oh, yeah, that's a good old-fashioned boot right there off the heel of the glove.
A break for the Padres. Let's see if they can take advantage, get the run back. Brings up Derek Norris.
Boy, that is a huge break. I mean, that's a routine fly ball.
Overran it a bit, reached back, and didn't appear like he had his eye on the ball. Norris up twice, struck out twice against Wainwright. Try to move that runner over to third or better. High strike, very high. No criticizing any umpire in this weather, especially the plate umpire. Man. Brutal, the St. Louis sauna.
Mm-hmm.
One and one. Bad news for the locals is it's supposed to get worse this weekend as Kevin Quackenbush, no pun intended, heating up. Off the fist, slow roller. Jerko cuts in front of the shortstop to throw out Norris. The runner moves to third, so Norris gets the job done. Gets Schimpf over to third base with one out. And that brings up Alexei Ramirez, 2 for 2 against Wainwright. And 2 big hits down from that number 8 hitter. Knocked in a run and scored a run in the 2-1 game. 2 hits for Solarte, an infield hit and a double. No home runs as yet tonight. Alex Dickerson has moved into the on deck circle. A pitcher spot is due next.
Well, Mike Matheny running out to the mound. That tells me that they're going to have a meeting. Yadier Molina doing a lot of the talking right now.
Yeah, one of the topics probably a possible squeeze. Veteran Ramirez handles the bat well. Big run there, third base. Padres pick up the run after a 2-0 lead. Cut in half with a run scored by the Cardinals in the 6th. Get it right back here, top of the 7th.
Hey, even a safety squeeze, you know, if you put down the perfect bunt down the first base line, that's a run.
Jerko, Diaz, Garcia, and Piscotty in tight on the infield. Full swing by Ramirez. That doesn't mean he's not going to bunt.
And also think of the Cardinal side. You know, I've seen many times. I remember the Tony La Russa days. On the next pitch or second pitch or third pitch, hey, let's throw down to third base. Let's throw down to first base. Try to throw behind the runner. Remember, Molina will do that as well. Just something to keep in the back of your noggin.
Right center field, carrying well, and by the dive of Grichuk. That scores easily Schimpf, and into second base. Ramirez, a big night tonight for the shortstop of the Padres. His 3rd hit, 2nd RBI, and the Padres do get that run back. 3-1 the score. A dying fly ball, and Grichuk just couldn't outrun it.
Oh, what a night for Alexei Ramirez. You know, beating the shift somewhat because Grichuk had so long to run. He lays out, and that's such an important run for San Diego, getting it back, the one that the Cardinals scored in the bottom of the 6th.
Unearned run, of course. 1 out, and here's Alex Dickerson. with a runner in scoring position. (3-1) Padres trying to salvage the final game of this 4-game series. Dickerson's numbers since coming up from El Paso. He hits that one a ton, but foul. Wow, that's way back in right field.
What's up, Professor?
You feeling okay? Want me to take your pulse here?
I am. I'm a little warm, but it's okay. Padres are winning. It's all good.
I like it warm, you know.
Do you?
Not quite this warm, but I like warm weather.
Yeah. Is that the farmer in you?
Yeah, I think so. I hate cold weather and wind. Cold and wind. Cold and wind. You can have all of that you want.
Really?
I'll take the warm.
You know what? You're like my wife.
Well, I am.
I get in the car right after she drives my car,
right,
and all the vents are like facing up, down, out. No, I want it on. I like cold air on me. Don't mess with my vents.
Okay. Forewarned. There's a base hit by Dickerson to left field. Don't mess with him. Around third comes Ramirez. The throw to the plate way short, and the Padres add another. It's 4-1 as Dickerson delivers. So they lead off error by the new left fielder and opens the gates, and the Padres taking advantage.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I love my wife dearly.
Is that her name, dearly?
I just don't like my vents being off. The good hitting, going the opposite way.
How about Ramirez tonight, knocking in 2 and scoring 2? Top of the order now, Jankowski. He doubled in a run his last time and takes a strike. Dickerson's done a good job as a pinch hitter. He's 4 for 10. 5 runs batted in. The power from Poway. He goes to the line drive single.
Yeah.
Bullpen active now as the Padres have opened a 4-1 lead. Sokolovic just called up from the minor leagues. One and 2. Padres finally off that 2 spot.
Yeah, how about the bottom of the lineup from Ryan Schimpf down, right? They've been doing some damage. Ramirez, Schimpf.
Check swing, all in the dirt. 2 and 2. Padres now with 9 hits in the game, out hitting the Cardinals 9-3. Three doubles and a 2-base error by Hazelbaker in left field. And the count runs out.
Well, he does look young, doesn't he?
I mean, you could take that picture and say, is he a high school senior? Wow. Is he a college sophomore?
Yeah.
And he's older than he looks, 25. Out of play. Turned 25 on May 31st at Matt Bowman. A man from the Ivy League, Princeton University. Padres have been fortunate to have former Tigers from Princeton on their roster. Will Venable, Chris Young, Ross Oldendorf. Hey, we could go back to the old days, the College Quiz Bowl. The Padres would have had a pretty good team.
Yeah, that's right. That'd be a good game.
Remember
show.
that?
Yeah.
Ball 4. And the Padres' 7th inning continues. First and second with 1 out, and Will Myers the batter. Greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. As we look ahead to the 3 games this weekend, starting tomorrow night against the Nationals, Bryce Harper, that batting average ever since that series in Chicago where they walked him. But his home runs and RBI totals, they're up there. Daniel Murphy's leading the National League in hitting. And, well, what can you say about Max Scherzer other than they're going to see him on Saturday in Game 2 of the series? Pitching change made by Mike Matheny with the Padres now in front 4-1. Time now for the Bill Howe Plays of the Game, authored by right-hander Andrew Kastner. Backing up his 4-1 win against San Francisco when he struck out 9 on the weekend. Right back with 1 out away from 6 innings again tonight, allowing only 3 hits, 1 run, strikes out 8, no walks. Did hit Matt Holliday. So our plays of the game go to Andrew Kastner. Our Bill Howe plays of the game, and also can handle the defense. Moves like a cat, as Mark Grant described it earlier in the game, to get that topper off the bat of Jerko and throw him out. Miguel Sokolovich, up from Memphis, 35 games, 2-5 his record, but his ERA solid, 2.79. 2 on, 1 out for the Padres, and Will Myers, the hitter. He struck out twice and fouled out.
And Sokolovich is a Max Everett type guy. Breaking ball, we just saw that to Will Myers. The fastball, change up, strikeout pitcher.
Yeah, we're getting some good news from the Cardinals clubhouse on Matt Holliday. High fly ball, shallow and right. Who wants it? Whoa, right fielder Pham finally calls off second baseman Garcia for the 2nd out. The news on Matt Holliday, no fracture. Boy, that's hard to believe. Taking a fastball like that right on the bridge of the nose, no fracture, a facial abrasion. So not serious, and we're pleased to report that news. So with 2 outs, Matt Kemp. A bloop single and 3 at-bats against Wainwright. Facing Sokolovich for the first time, obviously. He's been around, this 30-year-old. He'll be 30 next week. Venezuela. He has pitched in the big leagues with Baltimore briefly, initially, the Cubs. Then he went to Japan, pitched for Hiroshima for a full season, 2013. Came up for 28 games with the Cardinals last year. Off speed, had Kemp out in front.
Tell you what, I don't think the Cardinals can play Matt Kemp any more straight up at center field. Grichuk doesn't almost look like he's straddling. If he drew a line from home plate, the pitcher's mound at second base, right up the middle.
Don't see that often, do you?
No.
No shift, even the infield balanced. And a foul. Kemp's been out in front on almost every swing, every at bat tonight. They're throwing a lot of off speed to him.
And now with 2 strikes, it moves over. But that was the line I was. I love the animated arrow. But now, center field, Grichuk. Look at, he's over to the right a little bit on the first base side with 2 strikes.
Ripped to left, but foul out in front of that one as well. Nice catch. Brought his glove. Yep, right here. That's me. Know what he's saying there? It's okay if you leave your vents open or askew. He didn't mind. Man, I'm going to go to bed now tonight worrying about you and your wife having trouble over those vents in your car.
Yeah, it could be a deal breaker.
Huh?
Could be a deal breaker.
Well, you never know. I bet you don't have any habits that bother her, though. Huh?
Oh no,
none.
Nothing. Just Prince.
Oh my.
The list is long, Professor.
2-2 the count to Kemp. And he gets him out in front again. So Sokolovich restores order, but the Padres get 2 runs, one of them earned. And at the stretch half of the 7th, San Diego's 4, St. Louis 1. Padres baseball brought to you by Petco, your complete pet store, and by your San Diego County Lexus dealers. Stan the Man, that corkscrew stance of his, one of the many beautiful statues outside Busch Stadium here in St. Louis. He was the man.
I know we talk about it quite a bit, but a lot of people forget he was a pitcher in his early days.
Very good, yes. And I had an argument before he passed with John Wooden at age 99. Wooden was a huge fan of Stan Musial, and I argued for Ted Williams, and we had quite a debate.
That's what's great about baseball, right?
Yeah. Here's Quackenbush now with the Padres in front by 3, 4-1. He'll face Molina, Grichuk, and Pham in the bottom of the 7th inning. Pitched 2 innings last night in the night half of the doubleheader. Gave up 3 hits but no runs.
Yeah, Kevin last night in that nightcap had a nice feel for the breaking ball, striking out 3 Cardinals. 3-run cushion here in the 7th.
Molina has grounded out and dropped a single into left field. The first hit allowed by Cashner. That came with 1 out in the 5th inning. One of the many, I mean, the baseball statistics, you know, a lot of people think we overuse them, and we probably do, but they really are part of the connection to the other generations. And there's no sport where they're so important in how we remember certain things about numbers, home runs, RBIs, consecutive games, whatever. And Stan Musial, I mean, this is just beyond any reason. At home, Musial collected 1,815 hits. In his career on the road, Musial collected 1,815 hits. The same number.
That's remarkable. It really is.
High fly ball to right. Kemp has to go back. And there's enough room out there for the first down. Molina gone, brings up Grichuk.
Hey, Padre fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app and take Fox Sports San Diego and Padres baseball with you wherever you go. You got to keep up with the Friars. It's a great app. I've got it. The professor's got it. We use it all the time when we're not working a big league ball game.
You bet. And here's Grichuk, struck out both times against Cashner. So you talk about one great hitter, Tony Gwynn, also. That's Stan Musial and Tony Gwynn. And great hitters hit. And we just saw the identical numbers for Musial. How about Gwynn? At home, 1,555 hits. On the road, 1,586 hits. 31 hits more in his more than 3,000. That's remarkable. I love it.
Yeah.
Mr. Padre. That's a strike. Top of the letters. 0-2 to Grichuk. Tommy Pham to follow here in the Cardinal 7th. Curveball, got him. First strikeout for Quackenbush. And a look at the National League as we move to July 22nd tomorrow. Washington will be the opponents of the Padres on the weekend, leading in the East. The Cubs with 7 games in front of St. Louis, and the Giants, even though they've lost 5 in a row, still have a 4-game lead on the Dodgers. And then the wild card currently, it would be the Dodgers and Miami Marlins. Marlins continue to play winning baseball.
Boy, they are hitting 270 as a ball club. Tied with Colorado. Colorado's always going to hit.
Right.
But the Marlins, man, they've been knocking the cover off the ball. 270 average as a club.
Padres will visit Miami late in August on a weekend series against the Marlins. The last weekend of August. 26, 27, and 28. 2 balls and a strike. Slammed into right field, slicing into the corner. Fair ball off the top of the wall. Into second base goes Pham with a solid double. That one crashing against the right field wall just about at the foul pole sign.
Yeah, it's 335 down that right field line. Then it bellies out a little bit. And this ball taking the opposite way. Slicing.
That's a laser right off the 3 of 335. So Pham, first hit off Quackenbush. Just the 4th hit for the Cardinals tonight. That brings pitching coach Balsley out to talk with the Quackmeister, with Garcia, the scheduled hitter. Garcia led off the 6th inning with a double and scored the Cardinals run. Came in on the 2-out single from Diaz.
Remember that double that Garcia hit? It was a fastball right down the middle from Andrew Cashner with a few mistakes that he threw tonight. I mean, Cash was just masterful tonight, twirling a gem out there. So we know Kevin Quackenbush has got that curveball. He'll throw it any time.
4-1 Padres, 2 gone here in the bottom of the 7th. .91 on the fastball. The other thing about the Marlins, they've been playing without Dee Gordon, who was the batting champion in the National League last year. 1-1, and he's going to be eligible to come back. The lineup a week from today. Well, they're going to get better. Brad Maurer. He's up early. Normally the last month, save for the 9th inning. I don't know if that has any indication as to whether or not Ryan Buchter is going to be not in the pitching picture tonight. Meanwhile, 1-1. Ground ball to first. Meyer scoops it up and takes it to the bag himself for the out. So the 2-out double from Pham, no damage. On to the 8th, 4-1 for San Diego. Terrific post-game show, so stay with us, fans, for Padres Live, the post-game show with Mike and Mark, as we go to the 8th inning. And Jan Solarte, Melvin Upton, and Ryan Schimpf, the middle 3 of the order for the Padres, against Miguel Sokolovic, who came in to get 2 outs and close out the 7th inning when the Padres scored a couple, one of them unearned.
You know, before every game, I'll head down to the clubhouse and talk to Andy Green and Darren Balsey, the pitching coach, and ask how the bullpen is. What's the state of the bullpen? They said today everybody's good to go, no changes. So Maurer might have been up just to maybe, get a feel, on the mound early.
Because now Buchter is getting loose.
Sometimes I know it's been 4 days, but sometimes, and I can ask. That's part of my homework probably. Ask Brendan Maurer. Some guys like to get up on that mound before their time to go out there and just get a feel.
That ball hit well to right field off the bat of Solarte, and Yangervis will touch them all. Way back over the bullpen as Solarte's hit number 10. And the Padres go up 5-1. Single double home run for Solarte tonight.
A 1-1 pitch, and Yangervis Solarte, watch out. Cuidado, piso mojado. Oh yeah, start rocking that Mr. T starter set as he rounds the bases. Out with the chains. I gotta love it.
Quadrangular for Solarte. So that also runs that home run streak for the Padres to 19 games in a row where they've hit at least one home run. 5-1 now for the boys from the West Coast. 419 feet. Solarte will surprise you. He tags it right. He can hit it a long way. Another Padre in double figures in the home run column.
And that's real gold.
Upton. He swings and misses. He's had a rough night tonight. Grounded out, grounded into a double play, and struck out. Boy, that's a lot of carrots there around the neck.
It is.
Oh, and 2 the count. Well, that really is something. In the history of the San Diego Padres, the longest home run streak as a team was 14 consecutive games, and now this team has gone 19 in a row. Up foul. Padres broke the scoreless tie in the 5th inning. A double by Schimpf, RBI single Ramirez, and an RBI double from Jankowski. Cardinals got a run back off Cashner, knocked him out of the game in the 6th. Leadoff double Garcia and 2-out single from Diaz to make it 2-1. Padres got 2 back in the top of the 7th inning. Helped by an error by left fielder Hazelbaker. Popped that ball first. Piscotty over to take a look. It'll be out of play. Hazelbaker's 2-base error on the fly ball by Schimpf. Then Ramirez doubled to bring in the 3rd run, 3-1. And Alex Dickerson a line drive RBI pin single, 4-1. And here in the 8th, Solarte a leadoff homer. 5-1 lead. Two and 2. Yeah, good news from down on the farm. A AAA club for the Padres, El Paso, continuing to play well. They're 56-40. They have a 6.5 game lead in their division. Lake Elsinore 8-game winning streak. The Cal League. And he strikes him out. High heat. 1 away. $40,000, 40134 the attendance tonight. So they've been right at 40,000 every game. Of course, they were under that in attendance in the day game of the doubleheader yesterday, but they had over 40,000 tickets sold. Schimpf struck out, doubled and scored. Safe on that 2-base error by Hazelbaker in left hand, scored.
You know, the one thing I always remember about coming here as a Padre and even a Giant and other teams, no matter how poorly or how great the Redbirds were playing, there was always over 30,000. I mean, you could bank on that. It was 35,000 every night.
A lot of them come from many hours drive away, and they make hotel reservations, bring the family along. It's part of their summer holiday trip to come see the Redbirds play. Three and 0 to Schimpf. High strike. Very high.
Been a lot of high strikes tonight.
Shift on. Ground ball foul. This home run by Solarte has muted the enthusiasm of this Redbird crowd. He's getting quite quiet here at Busch Stadium. 5-1 San Diego. Fouled away. Remains full. There's ball 4. Schimpf aboard again. Interestingly, that is the first walk from either side in the entire game.
Well, Saturday, MLB on FS1 is back with a big-time doubleheader. All-star backstop Buster Posey and the Giants battle Mark Teixeira and the Yankees. Then the Rangers tangle with the Royals in a game you can only see on FS1. The action begins at 1 p.m. Pacific on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go.
And of course, don't forget us on Fox Sports San Diego at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Or actually 3 o'clock on 4 o'clock tomorrow, but 3 o'clock on Saturday. Jackson and Scherzer will be the matchup. And I get this right yet. It's 3:30 is our TV time on Saturday. Norris the hitter. Ball 1. I think Derek and Quackenbush, they've moved ahead of Cashner in the length of beard contest.
Oh yeah, I think you're right, Professor. Good call.
A lot of pride going into that contest.
Matt Thornton up in the pen, he trimmed his beard.
Yeah.
He would go to the prospect look, the salad and the beard trim job.
Booker with a 5-1 lead, backing off now in his warm-ups. Sokolovich struggling with his control. He's walked Schimpf and falls behind Norris 3-0. There you get a good look at that uniform and all that delicate embroidery, and how, you know, that's really an expensive uniform.
It's beautiful.
It really is.
You know, the number is a patch, but the Cardinals and the bat and the birds, that's embroidered. I mean, that, when you look closely, you can see the threading. It's beautiful. That is so cool.
And it's been that look for decades and decades.
Yeah.
3-1 is that last pitch called a strike. And rip foul. Full count now to Derek Norris. So when you were growing up in Illinois, did you go to the Illinois State Fair? As you look, there's Bob Gibson. See, the look hasn't changed.
No, Illinois State Fair, no.
Too far away?
Well, we were so poor we couldn't even pay attention, but go ahead.
Well, you know, State Fair here in the Midwest is a big deal. And
yeah, it is.
Fairs are, the Del Mar Fair is a big event for us. 3-2, runner goes, swing and a miss. Strike 3, and credit Schimpf with a stolen base. Down to Julie Alexandria. Julie.
Hey guys, well, since you're talking about the design of the Cardinals uniform, one of the tour guides at the Hall of Fame right here in St. Louis was telling me how it all came to be, and he said that Branch Rickey was speaking at a church in Ferguson, and he was currently the GM of the Cardinals, is back in the 20s, and a woman named Ellie Mae Schmidt was in charge of making the decorations, and she couldn't come up with something to do, and she was looking for some creativity, looking for something to make for the decorations for this speech at a church, and she looked out her window and she saw a cardinal sitting in a bush on a branch, and she thought that would be so cool. So she made the cardinal cutout out of cardboard, decorated them, put them around the church. Branch loved it, brought it to the president, and said, this would be such a great design. Well, Ellie Mae Schmidt's father happened to be an artist, and he had the idea to put the bat there. Of course, the first rendering, the bat was black, and then later it turned to gold. And of course, it appeared on the uniforms for the first time in 1922.
Yeah, and there's evidence to support Julie's comment on the Hall of Fame board out in left field. You can see through the years that has been the design. Padres with a runner at second and 2 outs here in the 8th inning.
And if you notice on those birds on the bats, they're a little bit bigger these days because Mr. DeWitt, he wanted the Cardinals to be more prominent. If you look like when Mark McGwire was here as a Cardinal, the Cardinals are a little smaller.
Mr. DeWitt is the owner now of the Cardinals. 1-1. Ramirez can't find that one. 1-2. So I was going to get into that state fair business because, you know, part of the fun of going to the state fair is not all the rides and, you know, the entertainment, but they got all, you know, everything from quilt making to judging heifers to, you know, you get a lot of taste of Americana.
Sure. Deep fried Twinkies.
Fly ball, second baseman out to make the catch. Garcia. That's it for the Padres, top of the 8th inning, and we're going to tell you about a cow made out of butter when you come back. It's time for our Carl's Jr. start of the game, and let's say Ramirez, a 3-for-4 night. Couple of RBIs, 2 singles and a double for the Padres shortstop. Alexei Ramirez, our Carl's Jr. star of the game. As we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, there's the activity across the street in Cardinal Station. Huge screens and lots of taps pouring that liquid gold as fans escaping the heat and can still watch the game, enjoy a libation right over the street up beyond the left field fence. Here's Buchter making his 46th appearance. Jeremy Hazelbaker, who entered the game as a pinch hitter and struck out in the 6th inning is the first man that Buchter faces. He fires a strike.
And Ryan Buchter has done quite well in the 8th inning role.
Quackenbush works an inning, gave up the double, but no runs. Struck out 1. That means the rotation 8th and 9th innings. Buchter in for the hold, and we'll see if Mauer or Thornton will pitch in the 9th inning. At the moment, not a save situation. So 2-1. Hazelbaker hitting in the 9th spot, then it'll be Gyorko and Diaz. Cardinal mascot trying to get something going with a rhythmic applause. 3-1. Foul back. So just to finish the story about the State Fair, I just saw a note. It's the Iowa State Fair, and they have a popular event every year, a butter sculpture. And this year the theme is the Star Trek television series. And my favorite Iowan, Sarah Pratt, creates a cow from 600 pounds of butter.
Come
now,
on.
How about that now? Now that's something to see right there.
That's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, you don't get this on a lot of broadcasts. A long drive to center, and that's past Jankowski, and Hazelbaker with the team down by 4 could have gone for 3, settles for a long double. Well, that's not the cat's meow, but maybe the cow's moo with that drive. Just to finish it, there's also butter sculptures of Elvis Presley and a Harley Davidson motorcycle.
Very nice.
See, that's Iowa State Fair.
And you know what else is very nice? How about Hazelbaker getting to Brad Hand? Because I'm sorry, Ryan Buchter against lefties. Lefties only a 127. Hazelbaker, left-handed hitter, extra base hit there. So that's doing something off a kid like Ryan Buchter, who's having one heck of a year.
Jed Gyorko struck out, lined out, tapped out to the mound. And there he goes, another base hit. That'll bring Hazelbaker around and cuts the lead to 5-2. More damage from the bat of Jed Gyorko, his 13th RBI in 7 games against San Diego.
Fastball way off location-wise. Buchter wanted to bury this one down and away, and that one actually leaks on the inside part of the plate. So a big-time miss. Gyorko taking it right back up the middle for the RBI single.
He's got 28 RBIs all year, 13 against his former team. Diaz knocked in the first St. Louis run back in the 7th inning, the 6th inning rather. And that led to Andrew Kashner eventually being relieved. He then hit Holiday, and that's when Green took him out of the game. 92 on the fastball. He's consistently 93, Buchter. Maybe a little less in the tank with this heat and humidity. He did pitch last night, an inning, struck out 1, walked 1. And off the mark again, 2-0. So he fell behind Hazelbaker 3-1. Double. Gyorko wasted no time in the RBI single. Trevor Rosenthal, the former closer, waiting in the Cardinal bullpen. Left field. Upton is there for the first out. So looking ahead to the series beginning tomorrow night in the nation's capital, it'll be Luis Domo, who's continued to improve with each outing against Tanner Roark, who is 9-5, and then Edwin Jackson's his second start for the Padres. Max Scherzer, 10-6, 2.94 ERA. Both Roark and Scherzer under 2, and to be determined has a ERA at 2.51 as well. That was going to be Steven Strasburg with a 13-0 record, but he pitched and lost to the Dodgers today. Kelton Wong hitting for the pitcher. One out, man at first, run in for St. Louis. Carve into the Padre lead, 5-2. Oh, and 2. So Buchter jumps in front of the pinch hitter Wong. Two for 9 as a pinch hitter, former University of Hawaii star.
And the lefty facing the lefty because Alberto Rosario's from the right side, but he's their backup catcher.
Out of play.
So Mike Matheny's not going to pinch hit him. Piscotty's already entered the game, so they're down to one bench player.
And they lose a player in Matt Holliday, hit by a pitch. Didn't break his nose, but it looked pretty serious. Fortunately, it's just a bruise as that ball, just as he turned his head, hit him right on the side of the nose. Taken out of the game. Line drive, base hit. Cutting it off, Jankowski, and into second goes Wong with a double, and the Cardinals trying to rally here in the bottom of the 8th inning. That'll bring the tying run to the plate. 2 doubles and an RBI single against Buchter here in the 8th inning.
After a hitter leaves the box, they will survey the outfield and check out which way an outfielder has to go. Right to his left. Travis Jankowski going to his right, and Colton Wong was thinking double all the way. A little double clutch right there by Travis Jankowski helps Wong get into scoring position. But he had 2 written all over that one out of the box.
That brings up Piscotty, a home run threat. Came in as a pinch hitter in the 6th inning and grounded out to end the inning, facing Brad Hand. Couple of birds in scoring position here with only 1 out in the 8th and a run home. Ball 1. Mauer back up again. Now it's a save situation.
You never know, a 4-out save maybe a 5-out save. 4 outs. If my math is correct. If he gets an out here.
1 ball and 1 strike to Piscotty. Jerko at third, Wong at second. Upstairs, 2-1. It may be a minor point, but a mile-an-hour difference in your fastball sometimes does make a difference. And Buchter's always been at 93. Sure. He's 91 and 92 tonight.
Absolutely. That's why you better locate. If you lost a little tick here and there.
High deep fly to right center. Jankowski back, and we have a tie game. A 4-run explosion for the Cardinals here in the 8th.
I thought Travis Jankowski had a chance. I think he maybe drew leather on it. No, just out of his reach.
Piscotty's 14th homer of the season. Gets a curtain call. Still only one out as Darren Balsley goes to the mound. One of the rare times this year that Booker hasn't come in and dominated. Started with a double by Hazelbaker, then the RBI single Jerko. Diaz flied out, then Wong the pinch hitter doubled to make it 5-2, and with 2 on, Piscotty drills one to right center to tie it up. So we start anew here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Yadier Molina, the batter. 402 feet on the home run. Villanueva joins Mauer in the bullpen. Well, that's a shame. It takes away a possible win from Andrew Cashner, and the Padres kind of rolling along with a 5-1 lead. A rare off performance by Booker. And maybe he just has just a little bit less on his fastball, a little less life, and the Cardinals with a couple of doubles, a single, and a home run here in the 8th inning. Two and one now to Molina.
It's only the 3rd home run that Ryan Booker has surrendered this year, going to this game 42 innings.
Tough inning, 21 pitches, only 1 out.
Well, a couple of times this inning, Ryan Booker just hasn't hit his spots, and we've talked about that. Seems like that's been a theme during this series in the home runs against the Cardinals.
Ground ball to the second baseman Schiff, and 2 away. Brings up Randall Grichuk. He's got 12 home runs this year. Piscotty's 2nd home run of this series. Boy, good looking swing, this kid. Grichuk has struck out all 3 at bats. Cashner got him twice. Quackenbush the other time. .90 on that fastball. Hit deep. Jankowski, though, has room out in right center for the final out. 4 runs for the Birds in the 8th. It is a 5-5 tie, and Stephen Piscotty earns the Bows a 3-run homer to tie it. fields and just over the reach of the Jankowski into the greens. And from 5-1 up, the Padres find their 4-run lead dissipate, and 3 of them come in on the Piscotty home run. Jonathan Broxton in from the bullpen. His 42nd appearance. He's got a high ERA, 4.10. And Brett Wallace, back from paternity leave, has an extra mouth to feed now, and he has been the premier pinch hitter the last couple of years for the Padres, and is 7 for 25 this year with 3 runs batted in. There's his overall batting record. A modest shift on for Wallace. The shortstop Diaz not all the way over in the second base side. Garcia out in shallow right. So Wainwright off the hook. And Castner will not get credit for a very fine pitching performance again tonight.
Yeah, Andrew pitched his heart out. Made some great pitches, and Brett Wallace, good swing on that fastball from Broxton. He'll get the fastball, the slider.
Wallace, Jankowski, and then Will Myers here in the top of the 9th inning, as the Padres then will try to pick themselves up and come back and take this final game of the series. 2-1. Garcia has moved over to third base. Jerko is now playing first base. Wong stays in at second base. And Piscotty goes to right field. Inside, 3-1. So the infield now for St. Louis. Jerko at first, Wong at second, Diaz stays in at short, and Garcia moves over to third. 3 balls and a strike to Wallace. And he beats the shift, goes to left field, but foul. Didn't quite get it on the sweet spot, and it dies about 10 feet foul. So full count to Wallace. Well, the bullpen, especially the big 3 of Hand, Buchter, and Mauer, has been so good this month of July. It's a shock to see that 5-1 lead disappear. Now the full shift on Wallace. Foul back. He was on that.
Yeah, you know, they've been so good. Every team goes through it where they have 1 or 2 outings that it's just uncharacteristic. I mean, it's going to happen. It's just a shame that it had to happen tonight with the 5-1 lead.
Let's see if the hitters now can pick up the club and still pull this one out. Struck him out. 96 on the fastball from Broxton. 1 away to Travis Jankowski.
Way out of the zone. And Brett Wallace cannot hold up.
Ball 4 wouldn't have been a bad thing, but it's the 12th strikeout by Cardinal pitching tonight. Jankowski, an RBI double and a walk, 1 for 3, and has scored a run. No, he's not. He knocked in one. That double to left center. Yeah, a bit wide, but called a strike. Game over the 3-hour mark, and a tough night for Guccione calling the balls and strikes. He is sopping wet. Villanueva, the ex-Cardinal. Pitching change will be necessary bottom of the 8th inning as Wallace hit for Buchter.
Boy, huge hole right center field. with the hard throw in Broxton. They're playing him to go the other way.
Late on that swing. Hazelbaker is almost going steady with that foul line over in left field, way over in left. Will Myers to follow. Myers tonight 0 for 4. Get on there for me. Staying alive, Jankowski. Not much to cheer about for Mike Matheny's Cardinals for most of the game. 40,134 here, but able to express their pleasure with a 4-run uprising and a 3-run homer from Piscotty in the bottom of the 8th to tie it up at 5. Two-hopper out to the second baseman Wong. 2 away. Will Myers steps up. For 15 in the series is Myers.
First pitch breaking ball tells you a lot that Will Myers, if he gets a first pitch fastball. Now Molina's going out to have a chat with Broxton.
He is in control of the game. Yadier Molina. And he's running the show back there, which great catchers do. It's their game. Everyone else has their back to the plate. He's the one man that's got it all in front of him. Calling the pitches, calling the shots.
Going with another slider here after missing with the first pitch. Oh, hanger, and Will knows it. Hey, sometimes you get away with them, sometimes you're reaching for a new one.
Again.
Huge gap in left center field, but we know that Myers, when he's swinging the bat well, he's going to drive it to right center, and they're pinching that right center field gap.
Yeah, they're giving him both lines. Almost walked into that one way inside. 3-1. What the fans wanted there, that's not even close to a strike. Matt Kemp like to get a chance to swing it here. 9th inning. Chop to the left side. Garcia across. 1-2-3 inning for Broxton. Bottom of the ninth, Cardinals Padres tied at 5. Welcome back. Padres took a 2-0 lead early. Ramirez knocked in 1 run. Shimta doubled, and Jankowski made it 2-0 with that double to left center field. And tried to stretch it into a triple, but tagged out. Diaz made it a 2-1 game with that base hit to left with 2 outs. Ramirez comes right back with another base hit, a double that brings in Shimp, who was aboard on an error. And pinch hitter Dickerson made it 4-1, driving home Ramirez. And Larte, a long home run, his 10th of the year, made it 5-1. Things going swimmingly. But then Buchter, they started to take him apart. RBI single by Jerko, RBI double for the pinch hitter Wong, 3-run homer Piscotti, and suddenly that 5-1 lead was 5-5 for number 55. And Chris Guccione, something in the eye, obviously. Been a brutal night to be a plate umpire. Heat and humidity. It was 70 degrees, 97 at game time.
Yep.
Villanueva comes in out of the bullpen. Oh boy, Tommy Pham looking to end it with 1 swing.
The last time out for Carlos was on Monday, the first game of the series against the Cardinals. 2/3 of an inning, give up a couple runs with 3 hits.
And he gets up a base hit to lead off the bottom of the 9th inning. And going for 2 is Pham. The throw to second base. He is out of there. He didn't slide. Or is he called that safe? That was a funny call. A signal made by Larry Vanover. It was kind of a half safe, half out.
Why didn't he slide?
He almost walked his way right into a bonehead out, and it was close enough that the Padres may want to challenge.
Wow. I mean, I'm guessing he's going to hit the dirt right about here, but he stays up.
And Upton, who's got a good arm, there's the safe sign, clearly. And boy, that's simultaneous. May not be enough evidence to overturn.
Well,
not enough to challenge. So a double for Pham greets Villanueva, and they will walk Garcia. And that'll bring up Jeremy Hazelbaker, who doubled to start the 4-run go-round in the 8th inning. Villanueva continues to have trouble getting outs. He started tonight with an ERA of over 5. 52 innings, 64 hits.
Well, with this intentional pass, it puts a force at any base.
and brings Andy Green out of the dugout. See whether or not this is to just discuss strategies. You can see the last 3 outings giving up hits and runs.
Andy just wants to make sure everybody is on the same page. Whatever happens here. Oh, Kendall, the third base coach, having a chat with Hazelbaker. Is he going to put down the bunt? Hey, the big thing I've always said in a situation like this, don't panic. Get an out. It doesn't have to be at third base. That would be gravy, but at least get an out if, in fact, they're going to try to put down a bunt here, which they most likely will do.
Hazelbaker entered the game as a pinch hitter. 6th inning and struck out, then got the big double over Jankowski's head into center field the last time, and that got things rolling for the Cardinals in a 4-run inning.
Now thinking ahead here, let's say he gets the sacrifice bunt down. If in fact he's doing that, 2nd and 3rd, you got first base open. Now you walk Jerko to get Diaz. I mean, there's a lot going on here.
Idea how talented Hazelbaker may be as a bunter, and we're about to find out.
Oh, if I'm Matheny, I'm bunting.
Try to win it at home,
because that opens up first base. You got Jerko swinging a good bat, and then after him you've got Diaz.
He is bunting, and it's a beauty. That is a terrific bunt. Solarte does get the out at first, but the runner moves to third, 90 feet away from victory. 5-4 in the putout. Pham with good speed at third, Garcia at second, and Jerko will probably see 4 wide ones here.
You know what? Call me crazy. I'm pitching to Jerko. I am not going to let Diaz beat me. I'd rather have Jerko try to beat me than Diaz, and that's just me.
Yeah, I think you've got to put him on and try for the double play at least. But I can see why you might think that way. The Jerko has been so hot and did come up with another RBI single the last time up, and then one of his outs was a line drive to center field. So they're going to play the percentages, Andy Green, and hope that they can get that out on a ground ball.
And I can totally see loading up the base, obviously, but I just have a hunch. There's just something about I'd rather pitch to Jerko than Diaz.
Well, Diaz is their top hitter at 317, and there's an RBI single in 4 trips tonight, and has worn out the Padres pitchers in the 7 games of this series.
I think I just saw Andy Green say fastballs in to Diaz.
So the second intentional pass of this 9th inning to load him up.
Let's see if he does pound him with fastballs in.
Oh, breaking ball high. Boy, that was hanging.
Or maybe if he gets the 2 strikes, pound him in with fastballs.
Outfield playing at softball depth. Game on the line, bases loaded, 1 out. Ball 2. He has grounded into 6 double plays this year, Diaz.
Yeah, and that's one thing the Cardinals don't do a lot of. Second fewest grounding into double plays.
Driver's seat, Diaz, 2-0 the count. Off speed.
Big hack on the slider.
Pham with that walk-in double and a couple of bases on balls intentionally. The drama of the 9th inning, tied at 5 here in St. Louis. No place to put him, and now he has to throw a strike. The 3 balls all high.
Yep.
Beauty for Diaz there. He doesn't have to swing at this one. But he does, and it would have been a strike according to Fox Tracks.
Nice 3-1 slider. Very good pitch. Great location, good tilt, and not good hacks from Diaz on the breaking ball.
Almost have to come back with another, don't you?
Yeah, I would absolutely. If he can throw for a strike, why not with those 2 hacks?
Line drive, base hit, Cardinals win. These are the kinds of series and kinds of wins that propel a team. It's been struggling at home all year long, but they've swept the Padres 4 in this series, and they come from behind 5-1 to win tonight. A walk-off line drive single for Diaz. He knew it all the way. Boy, what a young hitter. So the final, there are tough losses, and there are ones that are very painful, and this falls into the high pain category. Tough defeat for San Diego, and a rousing win for San Luis Cardinals. 6-5 the final. Let's go to Mike.